Hello, everyone. Welcome to our KubeCon recap. How's everyone doing?
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
So
I thought
awkward.
we are
Come
already.
on.
I thought we were already because I saw that it's live. But
It is live. We are live. I see us right now, live in action. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Anna, how are you doing?
I'm doing great because I got sick over the weekend and I was doing terrible yesterday, and I can actually hear today and feel a lot better. So I'm riding that great train. But my voice is coming in and out, and I might need to sneeze at some point in the live stream. So there's that. But
Part of the
we'll make it
the
work.
added effect. Sound effects. I don't have a soundboard, unfortunately, so I can't just hit the button and then anyways.
That'd be fun.
Disappointed.
It's been like what, 2 weeks since KubeCon? No, 1.5 weeks. I'm in a bit of a time warp. I don't even know what day or week or year it is. Abdel, how are you doing? How are things with you?
I am in the same situation as you. I have no idea what's going on. I came back from KubeCon, flew to Denmark, and now I'm in Morocco. So how did this happen? I have no idea.
What were you in Denmark for?
The KCD Denmark.
Oh, right. Wow. Right after KubeCon. They just don't stop.
It was literally like Wednesday, I think. So some of the people that were running it flew straight on Saturday, Sunday, and then they started on Monday with KCD Denmark.
Holy cow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Casper, I think you know Casper probably, and then Jinhan and Per and a bunch of other people. So yeah.
Nice. Adriana, how are you doing?
I'm good. Last week I was so confused by the day of the week it was. Like I thought it was Tuesday on Monday. I thought it was Friday on Thursday. I'm better this week. But I had meetings like pretty much solid from 9:30 until now. So this is my happy fun time because I'm on a live stream with y'all. So.
I wanted to ask you, are you coming to the CNCF event? Sorry to put you on the spot. It's on Thursday.
No.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. I just wanted to know. I was gonna ask you at some point. I just didn't know when. Okay, that's cool. I won't tell Archie, I promise.
Yeah, I'm like, I would love to, but I'm fried. And I am trying to be kinder to myself by saying no to things so I don't get overwhelmed. So
the nice thing is that Thursday is a holiday in the US, and so a lot of my US team is quiet, and that also means my customers are a little bit more quiet, so it's like catch-up time for me.
Oh, nice.
So that's why, I'm totally going. But there's like another meetup. There's an AI Tinkers meetup, and I want to get to it, but Archie would be pretty mad if I didn't show up to the CNCF event, so I'm totally going. Aakansha, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was dealing the same way as Adriana was. And for me, the time zone difference is so much. So I struggled for a week with jet lag, but now I'm all good and happy to be here with you all. Yeah.
I've always wondered that for folks that travel through international time zones, how do you handle and recover from that jet lag? Because I used to deal with it, and I just dealt with it when I got back home and eventually slept it off. But I'm sure that there are some life hacks that some of you have that you can share.
I mean, it's suggested that whenever you are, whichever place you're going, just get adapted to that local timing. Even if you are very sleepy, you still don't have to sleep. Just go out in the sun, have some sunlight, so that really helps. And just eat at the regular timings of the locals out there, so you get accustomed to that environment and timing. But but you definitely need 1 full day sleep when you're just back from such a hectic schedule. It's much easier when I'm going from India to US, but not the other way around. So yeah.
Yeah, flying to the east is usually more difficult than flying west.
Yes,
it's same for me. Like if I fly to the US, I get adjusted very quickly. Going back to Europe or to like GMT +1, 2 time zone is quite difficult.
Not happening.
So typically, what I like running. So I usually wake up at 5 a.m. and go for a run. So that's
oh my gosh,
the way to do it. Yeah, I find flying
get as much sunlight.
Yeah, the sunlight is important.
For me,
Yeah,
too.
whenever I return from Europe, I pass out so hard, like dead.
Yeah, the journey is any direction you go, it's fun. Anyways, KubeCon. We just got back from KubeCon. What are your all thoughts on KubeCon? What happened this year? I'm gonna pick on you, Anna. What happened this year in KubeCon?
What happened this year? For me, I had a very interesting KubeCon. I was going with the new company I was joining. So it was actually the first time that I was meeting them, and getting a chance to talk to folks about that. But for me, I mostly just did like platform engineering day, observability day, and then the hallway track. So I missed out on a lot of the talks, but I was like, I'll catch them recorded afterwards. But it was really energizing. It was really awesome to see folks again and like get a chance to connect with folks, meet new people, get in touch with the community again, see the CNCF ambassadors. And in general, just get stoked for like where we are with cloud native and like the space that continues growing and like welcoming new projects, seeing some of them graduate. So overall excitement.
You know, you touched on something, the fact that a lot of projects are graduating. We're seeing an acceleration of that. Do you think we're going to see an acceleration of newer sandboxed projects as well as incubating projects, or do you think that's going to start slowing down?
I think we're gonna start seeing more incubating projects come about in the next year or so. Like just as the landscape continues growing and more folks are trying to look at problems a different way. And I think that also brings the question of like, how do we make sure that the projects that we keep in sandbox and incubating are still staying healthy? So I think one of the questions that I've talked to some folks about is like, what is the TOC going to do to check in on projects to make sure that there's like the adopters are still continuing to adopt those projects, maintainership is still up, there's still like activeness within them versus them just growing stale while still maintaining to the CNCF landscape. Like I'm really curious to see how those questions are going to get answered.
No, that's a really good observation and point. Thank you for sharing that. Adriana, what was your experience like at KubeCon?
So I had kind of a similar experience to Anna at KubeCon because I had just started my new company the week before I went to KubeCon, and it was fun because like most of my team is based out of Europe, and then there's one other person in Australia, and then me. And we were all on site at KubeCon, so it was cool to like meet them in person and get to hang out with them, especially like so soon after joining. Like when Anna and I joined Lightstep, I don't think like we both joined like May-ish, early May in 2022, and I don't think we met our team in person until KubeCon in Detroit several months later. So that was kind of fun. But I'm also like with Anna, I'm like purely hallway track mostly, and popped into like observability day and platform engineering day. Also, I wanted to mention, I just realized when with Anna mentioning the ambassadors, we're all ambassadors here.
I know. I forgot to tweet or I forgot to like post that we were all ambassadors. I even asked Aakansha, hey, are we all ambassadors? And you were like, yes, we are. All right. Well, we're getting some comments in the chat. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming by. Aakansha, what was your experience like at KubeCon?
Oh, so basically, this was my second KubeCon. I attended my first KubeCon in Amsterdam, and I couldn't really get over that experience because it had been a really career trajectory changing experience for me. So I really looked up for this conference, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to attend. And yeah, I mean, it was like overwhelming at first because there is a lot to take in. There's a lot to absorb. So many talks going on. There are so many people around. But I'm glad that I came a day, like 2 days before KubeCon, and I attended the Cloud Native Rejects. And it's really nice because there it's a very intimate gathering, and you get a chance to have like meaningful conversations with folks like one on one. So yeah, rejects for me is like the highlight of that whole week. And then at KubeCon, of course, I went to the booths, did some interviews with folks. That was also my first time experience just doing some video recordings. So that was nice, because when you do that, you get to have some more conversations like what are the problems they are going through and what are the engineers looking up for next year and what are the conversations they are experiencing with the customers. So that's interesting. The parties are also interesting, like just doing the party hopping every day. And yeah, and of course it's about like lot of people I meet on Twitter, and just to meet them in person is a very different experience. And I got like some mentorship opportunities as well at this KubeCon, so I'm like thankful to those people whom I met there. So yeah.
Abdel, tell us what's been.
Well, so I mean, the first thing first, this was my first KubeCon in the US. I've never
Oh,
actually
really?
done.
No
Yeah,
way.
I've only done KubeCons in Europe before, so this was my first time
You
in the
know,
US.
I never would have thought. Like, I see you fly
I know, right?
around
All the time.
everywhere.
Yes.
For you to say that,
Yeah, it was my first time in the US and my first time presenting at KubeCon. I finally got a talk accepted, so that was exciting.
Congratulations.
nice.
Thank you. Me and Mofi, we got some feedback after our KubeCon talk, and one of the most hilarious feedbacks was this was intriguing and hilarious. So like the completely total opposite of like what a talk can be. So, but no, it was pretty cool. Same experience. I think that the hallway track is the most important one. Meeting the community is also very important. I do kind of work actually with our internal team on our presence at KubeCon, so I can help a little bit with the booth and all that stuff, like ahead of the event, and we're already planning for 2025, of course. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool. I think the most interesting experience for me this year is because we started doing some video recording for my podcast, and we hanged out quite a lot in the project pavilion, which was my first time actually kind of like hanging out for a while there. And the most interesting thing talking about incubating and graduating projects was Search Manager. I up to KubeCon, I did not know Search Manager was actually a CNCF project. Like, silly me. And I did not like it's such like a staple in cloud native that no one really thinks about it in a way.
So
And
true.
we interviewed one of the maintainers, and it was interesting because basically what they said is that they don't like Search Manager doesn't change any code anymore. It's pretty much in like maintenance mode. They're not making any features to it anymore. It's basically a pretty stable tool, so they don't really.
No way.
Yeah, we will publish the interview soon, but like that was, I think, one of the highlights or the most interesting things I learned about this year at least.
That is really cool. I didn't even realize that like Cert Manager. Well, I knew Cert Manager was heavily used. I mean, we use it in the environments that we work in. But I didn't realize it graduated and that it's like not even going to be updated anymore. I mean, it'll probably be patched if that, right?
Yeah,
At
so
the very
maintenance mode
least.
means like patch updates, but no new features, right?
Yeah. Okay. There's a great question from a LinkedIn user who I cannot identify. I don't know why, but they're asking how can we get a short summary of what KubeCon is? So I'm going to actually ask Adriana to give us that short summary. Why don't you give us that? Tell us what it is about.
Okay. Well, I mean, KubeCon, it's KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. So it's a conference centered around all things Kubernetes and all things cloud native. And that includes, vendors who have built products to make our cloud native lives easier. Various open source projects that have emerged as well as part of it. I think a lot of it in support of Kubernetes, but a lot of it also in support of just like being able to run our systems in the cloud. And I mean, it is like, I guess, a giant like trade show of sorts, showcasing all these technologies with a number of technical talks. But most importantly, it's all about the networking, I would say. My first KubeCon was the one in Detroit in 2022, and I didn't know anyone, and Anna showed me the ropes, and I was like terrified. I was like, my first big conference, I was a freshly minted DevRel, and she showed me the ropes and introduced me to a bunch of people. And through the years, this is my 5th KubeCon. I cannot believe in the short amount of time how many people I have met and how many good friends I have made as a result of KubeCons. So it's not just the technical side of it, it's the friendship. It's like this giant reunion of seeing your best buddies from tech.
I think the community that like KubeCon brings together is extremely high quality, and I think that's one of the things that people like when you ask them like why do you go to KubeCon, like you hear that throughout the cycle of like I want to reconnect with the community, I want to get involved to the community, and for me this was how I joined open source. I actually my first KubeCon was 2018 Copenhagen, Europe. And it was a beautiful experience, and like I got to go through that through the Linux Foundation scholarship of like going to KubeCon. And I was very much of like I want to join open source, but it's extremely intimidating. Like, how can I get started? How can I meet folks that work in that space? So getting the privilege to go to Copenhagen was like, hey, like learn about Kubernetes, learn about cloud native ecosystem and some of the work that you're doing, and also like get to meet the amazing faces behind these projects. And some of those friends that I made in 2018, like I continue contributing with them, like in different like roles within the Kubernetes project or within other cloud native projects. And like just making those long lasting connections is great.
And like it's a very sizable conference. Like this time there were around like 9,000 attendees. Yeah.
Wild.
It's so wild. And yeah.
There's one more question that just came up. Would you advise someone who is new or not in the industry to attend KubeCon or something similar?
I strongly recommend that.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
even
highly
if
recommend it.
someone who is transitioning into tech or is not even in this tech domain, they should attend KubeCon at least once in their lifetime, because you never know, like things might change for you.
It's the networking. It's all about the networking. Makes such a difference.
Yeah, every KubeCon there is always a report coming out after, and it have been consistent over the last couple of years that more than 50% of attendees are always new, right? I think you already know this. So it is, and also since I've been in the program committee for every KubeCon this year, always on the cloud native track. The cloud native track is by far the cloud novice track, which is the 101. They used to call it the 101, is by far like the most popular track, both in terms of the submissions to it and also in terms of like the people attending it. So even if you're a beginner, even if you're new, there is something for everyone. Cloud novice track is obviously the most basic one. And I think you saw this in the Ambassador Slack channel. There was also the Cloud Academy track or the Cloud Learning Academy track, which I just learned about, which is kind of more in-depth basic concept. So yeah, highly recommended. Just get your employer to pay for it because it's insanely expensive.
There was a new track like in the Colo, like the Cloud Native University track, and a
Yeah,
lot
that's what
of
I'm talking about. Yeah,
people
that's the
had-
one. Yeah.
Oh, now in London they are planning to do it the full day event on that track.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
nice.
we have so many new people joining that it makes sense to give them like a dedicated space to like have a safer space, because like KubeCon is already a safe space to ask questions and like learn new technologies. But like when you're learning with other people that are new, like you get to learn from their questions that they're asking as they're looking at problems a very different way.
And also I think part of it too is like with the Cloud Native University track, I think it's aimed too specifically at like students, right? Which is so cool that university students are getting in on this so early. I mean, when I went to school, there was no such thing as cloud native. So, but if I were going to school now, boy, I would totally take advantage of that.
I don't know like from whom I got to know about this, but like for next year they plan to do some junior CNCF ambassadors things as well.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
cool.
I think it was I forgot, but yeah, I got to know it. So let's see like how it will go. But I have a question for you all, like what key trends or themes like resonated with you at this KubeCon? So Abdel, you wanna go ahead?
Two letters, AI.
That was too easy, Abdel.
Sure. No, I think there was a lot of interesting things. Q was a big one. This open source, the open source project coming out of the Batch working group, which is the job orchestrator in Kubernetes. That was a big one. There was a lot of talks about it. Ray was also quite popular. So pretty much everything related to AI, I guess, and data processing. A bunch of security stuff. I think it's kind of like you all seen the keynote. I think that the start of the keynote with the patent troll kind of set the theme. Or
Chris is ready to go. Let's.
That was kind of interesting to bring a lawyer on stage as a keynote, right?
I think they said the word troll like maybe 150 times.
Yes.
Oh yes.
They were very
like-
I did not realize it was like such a thing until they brought it to light in that way at KubeCon at the keynote. I was like, damn.
Yeah. So I did some digging into the, what would they call it, the Cloud Hero program, the Cloud Native Hero program, which is the bounty program that they launched for asking people to help with patent trolls. And the idea is that whatever patent's being claimed, if you can help find any proof that that idea have not been novel to start with, and that the patent should not have been granted in the first place, then the whole claim becomes useless, right? So that's kind of like the gist of the whole patent bounty program system thing that they put together. I just found it interesting that there was like, oh, hey, welcome, cloud native people. Here is a lawyer to tell you about all these patents trolls. So
it was an interesting call to action for sure. Like, I mean, I think it's great for it to be a keynote and like for us to all be aware. Like, I wasn't aware of this being an issue beforehand, so I found that very insightful. But I think it definitely was like the funniness of it was like the way that it was delivered was really interesting of it. I'm really curious to see like how much money I guess is being spilled out or like being lost because of this, like the metrics aspect. Like that's where my brain was going. I was like, I want to see metrics around this.
I guess a bunch of
Tony's comment there about WASI and WASM. Did anyone catch anything going on in that space?
Well, WASM Cloud was incubated, right? One of the projects, WASM Cloud, that was one of the announcements. Yeah. I think it's interesting what's happening in that space, because I think you all remember back in 2022, I think. I don't remember if it was 22, 23. Like WASM was all the hype, right?
23, yeah.
23, yeah. That was all the hype, and then it kind of died down a little bit, and now it's coming back, I guess.
I think it's more about sustainability, platform engineering, AI this time. I mean, a lot of focus is going towards sustainability as well, and people are taking initiatives how to be more resource efficient and cost efficient as well. So, yeah.
I'm going to double down on that platform engineering bit. I think we're seeing platform engineering maturity. I mean, it's beyond, hey, we got to do a platform engineering. It's go time. We're actually past go time, and it's about refinement. And I'll be honest, with one of the end users I'm working with, I'm living through that refinement right now. And what that means is the organization decided to build a platform engineering team to be able to consult with other specialists within the organization, but to own infrastructure. And my wife is calling me right now, so I'm not going to answer the phone. Sorry. But
watch the live stream.
Platform engineering is a very interesting bit because it takes me back to my ops days around just building systems and then making them available and then iterating upon them. But a lot of that now is automated through pipelines, through decision, through POC, policy as code. So I'm really excited to see more architectures come out of this. Like, I want these end users to come out and document what their platform engineering style is, because there's no one size fits all. And you're seeing a combination of tooling being used to achieve those goals. So if you all know Carlos Santana, not the guitarist, but the he is championing something called the Cloud Native Operational Excellence, or CNOE, and that is very much platform engineering. But I don't want it to just be about EKS and AWS. I want to see the GKE flavor. I want to see the Civo flavor. I want to see the on-prem flavor. I want to see things without Kubernetes. And that's what I'm hoping that this platform engineering maturity is going to come out with. I don't know. What were your what did you see? What was that theme that you saw at KubeCon?
Well, I was actually going to add that didn't
you're
they just
muted.
launch?
Or we lost your audio. Or maybe I
No.
I don't know.
No,
No,
am I
I
here?
can hear.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Marina lost.
Wait,
You
did y'all
don't
lose
hear
me?
us?
Maybe y'all lost me. That's me.
We can
Oops.
hear you. You can't hear us.
I guess not.
Guess not.
Maybe your headphones died.
I think I had to charge my headphones. Oh well. I think I missed like 2 minutes of conversation there. Anyways, sorry. I'm gonna stop talking.
Do you hear us now?
I can hear y'all.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that one of the things that got launched with KubeCon, from my understanding, was a cloud native reference architecture. That is a cloud native's way of putting together like a collection of architectures of folks doing cloud native. And like I just looked it up now, and there's already 2 that have been submitted, which is Adobe and Allianz. I think I'm mispronouncing them. So it's really cool to see that we're going to be able to see how a lot of other end users are doing cloud native and continue learning. And as far as trends go, like I very much saw like that uptick in platform engineering, like seeing platform engineering day be like way larger than it had been the prior iteration. That was really great to see. But overall conversations in the hallway, like it was a lot of like folks learning that they were doing platform engineering, but without having calling it that in the past, like coming to terms with it, as well as realizing that they need to re-platform. And then like due to like my new job, it was also being in the platform engineering conversations, and seeing that there's like an uptick of interest more in that as well.
Taylor has a comment. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, Anna. We do have a question from Taylor. Y'all know Taylor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the biggest secret about KubeCon, Cloud Native Con, that you know but others might not? Ooh, that's a tough one. I know a lot of secrets. I don't know if I should share them though.
Pick up your badge on Monday. I don't think that that's a secret, but just pick up your badge on Monday.
Go to the store, the CNCF store, right when it opens, because
Yes.
True. Yeah. Stuff runs
good
out
luck. I've gone like on a Friday and it's like, okay, there's a large there. Maybe I can, throw it in the dryer and it might shrink after I wash it.
I know that secret, and I still went on Friday and I was like looking for a very specific Kubernetes hoodie, and I was like, but that hoodie that I saw people walking around and buying this year, like I want it. Like, where do I get it?
I have one. Just spot food places around the venue because the food is not going to be good.
Oh yeah.
And coffee places.
Oh,
ahead of time, pin some places around the venue to get food and coffee through the week.
I was also gonna say the vegan food tends to be the better food. I personally am a hater of mayo and all things related to mayo. And I get really mad that a lot of the times the food has like it's wraps or sandwiches with mayo, which means I will not touch it because I find it gross. But the vegan food tends to be more passable if you're going to eat there. But I agree with you. Generally, find a place nearby with good food. Yeah.
Especially coffee, because I like coffee and I want good coffee. So
Oh, fair.
and also like on the topic of food, I think the halal and kosher food usually is better just because it's smaller quantities. They usually make less. It's not industrially made. There was actually a discussion, I think, on Twitter, on social media earlier about people wondering about KubeCon India, how the food is going to be in India.
Oh, it's gonna be good because Delhi is known for food, so hopefully it will be nice.
I mean, early this year we were in Paris, the capital of gastronomy, and the food was not good. So
It does not matter.
I will say I was at KCD Porto in Portugal, and the food was like some of the best conference food I have had. So KubeCon needs to take a page out of that.
So
I know
I'm
it's
not
like
sure
a much smaller scale compared to KubeCon, but that was good food.
So I'm not sure if it was for this conference, but like the quick snacks they had, like the donuts, the popcorns, in and around throughout the day. It was nice. Like it's like a quick grab and you can just have it and just roam around. So I'm not sure it was only for this KubeCon or it was happening before as well.
I
The
think it
one
depends on the
big
booth, right? It's like vendors
Yeah.
will have like some
yeah.
special fun snacks.
Mm.
Oh, so
The
it
one
was not like it was vendor booths, which
Yeah, like the
provided.
donut one I think was like, I'm pretty sure that
It
was
was
like one of the
Wiz.
vendors.
Yeah,
Wiz,
it
yeah.
was
yeah.
Wiz.
Had the cool roller skates.
Some
Okay.
vendors, I think even like Upbound used to do like the coffee stuff. I don't know if they did it this
They
year.
did coffee this
They
time.
did coffee
They
this
did
year,
coffee, yes.
It-
They sponsored
which was
coffee.
like a 10-15
It's
minute
like
wait. Like the
that's
espresso
how you
shots were
remember a
worth it.
company. That's how you remember a company. Do the coffee, do the espresso shots. The one other secret I'm going to throw out there is go to rejects. Like that's like I know it's like a known thing, but it's also an unknown thing too. Like we talk about rejects, but we don't talk about the impact rejects actually has on everyone. It's such a good conference.
It's
Go.
true.
Especially if you're brand new to a city or brand new to KubeCon, like getting a chance to be in a more intimate setting and making those connections, like you can't really get that at KubeCon like experience. Like it's just too large to have met like those intimate conversation settings.
It's a good way to ease your way into KubeCon, to like
Mhm.
start easy and ramp up toward
It's
KubeCon.
cozy.
Yes.
And then you form your little walking group for the rest of the week.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and you get added to like the proper like social media platform or like the Twitter DMs or the Signal groups. Because like at least for this year, I think one of the secrets was like Blue Sky was where the conversation was going on around KubeCon, and like not everyone knew that because people were still like on Twitter as like
On
the main
Twitter.
platform for cloud native conversation. So it was like, I don't know, Adriana and I told maybe like 2 or 3 people like, "Hey, join Blue Sky while you're here." Even if you're not big on social media, like listen into the conversation or like just create a profile there and like start gaining attraction and like following the right people.
So true.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add one more. There is because we just were discussing it on LinkedIn today. There is a sig boba. So even if you don't drink
yes.
alcohol, there is a way for you to like avoid that. There is generally speaking soft drinks even available even when there is alcohol, but like there is a dedicated sig boba and there is a dedicated cube jam. So if you like to just like hang out with a bunch of people that play music, there is also that, and there is always a bunch of people organizing karaoke events or karaoke evenings.
I have
There
a
was no
question.
karaoke this time.
There was no
around.
KubeCon,
Sorry.
right? That was like
Yeah, no
Leon.
I think it's
Yeah.
because
Leon's thing
what's the name
normally.
of the person from the Netherlands that usually does that?
Leon.
Leon.
Lian, yes, Lian wasn't there.
Another side note is like I was looking at the CNCF Flickr like photos and I saw there was like a no alcohol dedicated zone. Like I'm assuming that's where
Hmm.
Sig Boba was happening. Like was that the first year that they do like an official like no
Yeah.
alcohol dedicated zone? I thought that was amazing.
I'm
I
not
mean, like
sure.
CNCF was
Yeah.
supporting it. CNCF was supporting Sigboba this time, so probably that's why it was listed as official
Mhm.
event.
Nice.
It was really good for those who didn't who weren't able to attend. It was lots of fun.
If somebody is interested in doing like a cupcake evening, I'll be more than happy to organize that.
Are you gonna
I
fly to
love
Toronto?
cupcakes.
I'll host if you
All
come.
right.
Yeah.
Good, but we need to also find a good cupcake place in London.
Oh, yeah.
I've got some more questions for y'all. What was that moment that made y'all realize, yep, I love being a part of Cloud Native?
For this specific conference or just in general?
This specific conference.
I think for me, it was like I've had a few people come up to me and say, like, I follow your work and, you know, you've inspired me for XYZ. And I'm like, what? I think for me that, and it just speaks to the power of community. I mean, none of us would be here without the community and the support. And it really, you know, they say it takes a village. It really does. We're not doing this by ourselves. We're doing this all together.
I think for me was sitting down with Adriana, Reese, and Hazel Weekly for like a 1 hour like conversation around girl stuff. And I was like, the fact that I could be at a tech conference in Cloud Native and like I have my girlfriends here and we just get to have a heart to heart, like that felt really special to me because it was like this is stuff that like I could do back home, but I get to do it on the road too because I have such an amazing support system that allows for me to have these heart to hearts. And I think there's not that many conferences that I feel safe enough to do that, where like people are gonna respect this space, or like if someone overhears something, they're not just gonna judge it or anything like that. So there was a part of aspect that made me feel like I love this community. And like the fact that I had 4 girlfriends with me in a way too. Like,
Yes.
like tech being like not necessarily as diverse as we want it to be, but have like a very diverse group there in front of me to support me was awesome.
I guess my answer is a little bit self-centric, but who I am and where I am from, North Africa, we don't really get that much representation in this kind of events. And at this particular event at KubeCon, there have been a lot of people from Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria coming to me and just talking to me and say like, we are here because we saw you, promoting cloud native. So that was the highlights, probably.
Aw.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
It wasn't. It's still not as much as I wish. I think. So one of my goals is to try to convince the CNCF to add an extra line in the ethnicity drop down when you are submitting or when you're registering, because since it's an American centric organization, North African is usually not a category, right? So it's usually like Asian, African, blah blah blah. But there isn't like a category for my people. So I'm trying to like figure out how we can push for that.
I think
Right.
similar to like finding people that like are from your group there. Like I found so many Latinos this year, which that felt really heartwarming. Like amount of conversations I had in Spanish at KubeCon was a lot larger than prior years. And it was folks that were in Latin America organizing KCDs, and they were like very much inviting for me to submit to the CFP and come speak. And
Aw.
just to see that the cloud native ecosystem is growing in my communities, that like really warmed my heart, because when I started, like it wasn't as much, like, there wasn't like that there wasn't no other CNCF ambassadors that were, like, doing content in Spanish or anything like that. So to see that now we have, like, multiple CNCF ambassadors in home countries of, like, Latin America, like, that really warmed my heart, and, like, to see the work that they're doing to just continue growing the ecosystems.
I have
Marino,
like one.
you-
I have like one to share, but it feels like so cheesy to me. So, how many of you watched The Office, like all the way to the end? Okay, okay, 2 of you. So you know that scene, the wedding scene where Michael shows up at the end, and then he's like chatting with Pam, and then like it cuts to him, and they're interviewing him, and he's like saying it's like all my kids grew up or something like that. I can't remember what the actual thing is.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what it was for me. Like I know you're not my kids, but to kind of like look and see you all like thriving in your own element, doing your thing, being happy is why I love cloud native. Like just seeing that from the moment I got here, which was like probably back in 2019 to now, to see how far it's come along. How like I'm about to cry. So it's good to see how far people have come along and what they've accomplished, and how they've grown like internally, like through their professional lives, through their personal lives, and just see the impact they bring. And it just like makes me want to come back here over and over again. So before I tear up, let's move to the next question. What was your favorite session at KubeCon, if you attended one, and who do you want to give a shout out to? Anyone can go. I'm not going to pick on anyone.
I think my favorite was the multi-queue session by Aldo, and I forgot the name of the other person. So somebody from Apple and somebody from Google. So again, back to the topic of queue that I talked about earlier. There is now in the new version, there is something called multi-queue, which allows you to schedule jobs across multiple clusters. So it's not a single cluster thing. You can do like things across multiple clusters. And that was a collaboration actually with Apple. And that session was pretty good. They did one at the Cube AI Day collocated events, and then they did the same session at KubeCon. And it was it was very popular. It was actually very hard I almost missed it because I didn't I didn't get there on time. But it was pretty cool. That was probably my favorite one. Just like seeing companies of this size kind of like putting politics aside and kind of collaborating on open source is pretty cool.
For me, it wasn't a particular session, but it was educational nonetheless. Because Marino and I joined the BIPOC working group just before KubeCon, and we met with one of the organizers, Catherine Paganini, and she introduced us to a bunch of folks, including they work very closely with the deaf and hard of hearing working group. And for me, like, that was so educational, just drawing so much inspiration from that group, because realizing, like, Anna mentioned, like, we're friends with Hazel Weekly, and for those who may not know, she's deaf, and so she's so sometimes, like, communicating with her, especially, like, I wear a mask when I'm at KubeCon, she can always hear me. And so she turned to me and said, if I say when I say I don't understand what you're saying, rather than repeating the same thing, try to say it to me in a different way. So learning, and she's like, that's the case with most people who are deaf and hard of hearing. And so, like, just these, like, little interactions that you kind of take for granted, or like, I wrote a KubeCon recap blog post, and one of the things that I mentioned in my blog post was I was communicating with some folks from the deaf community via an interpreter, and I made this horrible gaffe at first of, like, turning over to the interpreter and having the conversation, and I'm like, no, this is like the worst faux pas ever. And I'm like, I caught myself and was proceeded to have the conversation with the deaf person and not the interpreter. And these, like, little things that you sort of take for granted, and until, like, you put a face to the name of someone with a disability or who's gone through a hardship, we don't empathize until we have, like, that humanity, that human face attached to it. And so for me, that was, like, the biggest learning, and something that we talked about too with Catherine when we were talking about, like, what can we do to bring awareness to marginalized groups without it turning into, like, this massive complaint fest where we're like, oh, look at how all the 1,000 ways we've been wrong. Like, let's get that empathy in the community.
I ran into a translator. I think her name was Amelia, and she was also at Rejects working with Rob and a few others. I think that's her name. Anyway, shout out to you. Thank you so much for being very supportive. I know it's a lot of work. Like, it was funny because one night, this was the last night I was there, we finished the boba thing, and then I went to a bar to meet up with Colleen and a few others, and this whole group came, right? Like Amelia, Rob, Sandeep, and a few others. And we were all trying to get into the same bar and whatnot, but it was very, very, like, powerful to watch Amelia communicate with. I feel like her name is Amelia. I feel like that's what I remember it to be. I'm sorry if I'm messing it up, but anyways, very powerful to watch how she was able to manage, like, many conversations, direct it appropriately, and do the right level of translation too. I've got more questions, and we've got another 15-ish minutes or so. I'm gonna ask y'all, like, looking to the next KubeCon London, right? What are you looking forward to? What is the thing that you want to see? I know we have seen enough AI, we've seen enough of the Kubernetes thing. What is it that we're after? It's a tough one, right?
I would say sustainability.
Okay. Why would you say sustainability?
Because I feel like it's one of those things we cannot keep ignoring. Like, everywhere we turn, there's, like, some catastrophic weather event that's just reminding us that the Earth is, like, crying out for help. And, we happen to work in an industry where it is just not environmentally friendly, but we have tools in place, and especially with AI, right? That stuff is computation intensive, resource intensive, right? But we also can use technology to kind of help us mitigate the problem somewhat. So I would love to see more stuff around that.
For me,
I do have one. Sorry, go ahead, Anna.
Mine is short.
So
I'm
polite.
excited to see. I'm excited to see, like, what new graduated projects there are. Like, I know that, like, Crossplane and Open Telemetry are on the list of, like, some of the ones that have applications, and they've been on the application grind for a while. And I think there's a few more last time I checked the board. So I think I'm curious to see, like, that maturity happen from some other projects, and, like, see if they make it to London as graduated projects. You can. Sorry, Abdel.
Yeah, no worries. No, of course. So I think I think you have all heard this comment probably sometimes where people say that KubeCon sometimes can feel like it's a vendor-centric conference. At least that's how it can feel sometimes, right? So one of the things we tried to do this, at least I tried to do this round, was to try to meet like as many end users as possible. So I would just like walk to people and just look at their badge and see which company they're coming from, and if it's like a big recognized tech company that is like an end user, so not like contributor, and they don't provide any offering around cloud native. We met quite a lot of these people, and I wish that for 2025 the CNCF somehow does a better job at highlighting the sessions that are delivered by these people. Because like vendors talking to vendors, it's sort of like an empty chamber of like, we offer this, you offer that, we offer this, you offer that. I am more curious about like how are actually people doing things in the real life, right? So we met people we are on LinkedIn live streaming. This is probably going through a Kubernetes cluster somewhere, because LinkedIn is a pretty heavy Kubernetes user. Airbnb is another one. I met quite a lot of people from big tech companies that are using Kubernetes internally. So I wish, or I hope, at least there will be more kind of focus on those kind of sessions, because I think that these are valuable, interesting. We can all learn something from them, either in terms of like what are people struggling with, or what's combination of cloud native landscape tools people are using, because there is like literally thousands of them. So I'll be looking forward more to that, I think, for 2025, at least for the EU version.
I think that's an awesome like way to like look at it too. Like we should be talking to end users more. And I would love to like put that ask on CNCF. Like, is there any way that the badges can have like another sticker that says end user, or like something like that, that's like, I'm open to let you know how I use it and like take feedback. So hopefully someone from the CNCF ecosystem that can make a difference could like listen in on this too.
Probably there could be an open space for end users where they can just come and gather and just talk about stuff which is going in their daily life, right? And it could be a nice conversation, and people can bring up ideas, and it could be nice breakout sessions on those things. Because if you go at the booth, it's just like the sales pitch. They will start doing the sales pitch to sell you the product, and they are not really interested in having some deeper conversations until like most of the booths. I won't say it for all, but usually it's just the sales pitch that happens, and that's why it looks like it's a very vendor-driven conference at times.
Hey, we got the head of the CNCF watching right here, so load him up with the feedback. Let's go. Sorry, Taylor.
So like just to be also fair toward the CNCF, there is actually a way for you in the schedule to filter by use cases, because when you are submitting a session, you can select whether it's a use case, right? So you can actually select if you want to watch use cases, you can select that in the schedule. But I think like a better way to highlight that this is actually an end user company, or one of the speakers is from end user, would be very cool.
You know what I'd like to see at London is more of that hands-on, right? Like I think there's a lot of sessions, there are great workshops, but inside of the show floor room, something I used to see a lot at AWS reInvent is these hack sessions, right? Where they've set up these dedicated booths where folks can go and like just hack away for a bit. I haven't seen anything like that at KubeCon, and I think, Taylor, if you're listening, Taylor's like, I'm writing out a but just a thought for London. You can make it in for Atlanta too, just saying. Anyways, a few more questions, right? Advice for first-time attendees and speakers, folks that I know we're past the deadline for KubeCon EU, like the main event. There's still the co-located events. So if you haven't really put out your CFP yet, you still have time. There's like, I think 15 or 16 different co-located events that are going on. Adriana and I spoke at Platform Engineering Day, and Adriana spoke at Observability Day with Anna, right? Did I get that
With
right?
Reese.
Yes. Oh, with Reese. Okay. And the thing is, like, I feel like colos are very, very impactful in their own way, right? Great. You go to KubeCon, you get a huge audience and whatnot, but the type of audience you're getting in that track for that colo event, they're there for a specific reason. So, check that out. So advice for first-time attendees. Adriana, what do you think?
Ooh, I'd say don't be shy. Yeah, go out and walk the floor, and have conversations with people, and remember, and I have to tell this to myself too, like, you're probably going to see a lot of people at KubeCon that, like, you look up to, have admired from afar on the socials, and they're all friendly and approachable. Don't be scared. We're all humans trying to figure this stuff out together. So don't be afraid to approach, these people that you admire from afar, because great conversations can come out of it. Great networking.
For me,
all right, now go ahead.
No, I keep interrupting him. I'm gonna let him go.
No. I insist. You can go.
I had put together of like a YouTube, TikTok video of like me getting ready, giving tips out, and some of them were around like having comfortable shoes, having like a lot of hydration, like make sure to bring a water bottle so you can stay hydrated through the conference. That was really key. I also talk about having a conference buddy. Conference buddy like makes it easier for you to go about the show floor, go through the hallway track. You have someone to do it together with, but also like you don't feel as intimidated when you go talk to someone new. You can be like, hey, like let's go see what this person is up to. Um, and at the same time, like if you're doing the after hour events and such, having a conference buddy also saves like helps you in terms of safety. You're walking there with someone, you can let someone know that you got home safe and such. So I'm a big fan of that. And also like don't burn yourself out. Like try to do a little bit of each and like try to network, try to go to the sessions, try to go to the hallway track. As Adriana said, everyone is really friendly and is there to help you. So like whatever you might need at the conference, someone there is able to provide that for you.
Abdel.
Sure. So I think you covered everything. I think my advice would be on what Anna said. Don't burn yourself out. So KubeCon typically starts with, if you do Cloud Native Ejects, it starts on a Sunday. Then you have the Monday. Then Tuesday is the collocated events. And then Wednesday is typically the longest day, and it starts kind of like dying down from there. So just be aware of this cycle and be aware that Wednesday is going to be very long. Because you don't want to miss the keynote. And yeah.
So I did exactly that. I got in for the rejects event, went to the colos, and then did day one of KubeCon, and then I was out. I know I missed a lot, but whatever. I'm totally fine.
That's one way of doing it. I guess I have one more thing to say, and this is not necessarily toward the people who are going to attend. This is more toward anybody who is going to speak, think of speaking, or is planning to speak at any upcoming KubeCon or any tech conference. Never assume people know the stuff that you know. So never assume that whoever is in front of you is as knowledgeable as you. And always, because I think that this is something that comes up all the time, acronyms. Do not just assume people know what an acronym mean. Make sure that you explain your stuff. And this is valid whether you are doing a talk, delivering a lightning talk, or even having a conversation in a hallway track with people, right? So this goes across the board for me. I try to be mindful of this year because, again, 50% are new to the conference. So you shouldn't assume people know all the acronyms and all the jargon. So just be aware of that.
You mean you didn't have that conversation about the eBPF and the CNI?
Yeah, and the CSI and the CRI.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh wait, Aakansha, you have to tell us. Go for it.
Okay, so you all covered so many things, but I would say like attend Cloud Native Rejects for sure. Then second thing, if you are an ambassador, then don't miss out the ambassador breakfast, because it's the nice place that all the ambassadors like gather at one place. And this time the Cubestronauts were also there. So it was my first time being an ambassador and first time attending the breakfast, and it was really nice decision to be up so early and go for it. And third one would be like, obviously, like the conference is so overwhelming and you won't get the time to attend all the talks you want to, but like after you get back, like do look up, and the talks are incredible because the speakers put in so much time and effort to concisely explain it. So those talks are like really insightful and you gain a lot of knowledge. So definitely you should go back and tune into those. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, we have like literally 3 minutes left. In 3 words, each one of you describe what the keynote was like for you, or all the keynotes. I'm going to pass it to Anna first. 3 words. Go.
Trolly, fun, interesting.
Adriana.
I will say rock concert vibes.
Abdel.
I would say not what I expected.
Aakansha.
I was sleepy at one point. So yeah, like at one point.
Yeah, that's 3 words. I was sleepy.
Mine, I will have to say, was too many trolls.
Thanks.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for coming by today, hanging out, recapping KubeCon. I hope to do this again after London. I hope we all get to London because I'm really looking forward to it. And if not, well, for those that are getting
Can I just add something, Marino? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, Abdel, you cannot add anything.
Very quickly. Just be aware if you're coming to London from outside of Europe, and potentially even from Europe next year, you might need a visa.
Oh,
Just
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and I think the new documentation for that is coming out like today or tomorrow. Like they're just releasing it in the UK.
You will, if you are American or a European passport holder, you will need an electronic visa to come to
that's
Europe.
right.
If you are outside of these 2 continents, you will need an actual visa. So
Are
just
Canadians exempt from that because we're like
No.
very closely aligned? Oh, damn it.
No, you are considered an American, so it's
But
not
it's still our thing.
I know the UK is a poor country. They need to make money.
All right,
And
everyone.
also, like, people should look up for the DanCon scholarship notifications because
Yes.
a lot of people got in this time, and it was nice. They had the opportunity to come and experience it, so they should definitely look out for that as well.
I'm very, very happy to hear that the CNCF has been allocating more funds for scholarships. So thank you, CNCF. Anyways, we are at time. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. Take care. It's nap time. We'll see you all later. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.